You did everything right. You listened, you cared, you showed up. You treated her like a queen. And in return, she left you for someone who barely texted her back. And now you're sitting there wondering, what the hell just happened? This isn't just your story. It's the story of a generation of men raised to be nice, soft, emotionally available, only to be discarded for men who seem to do none of that. You gave her stability. He gave her chaos. You gave her commitment. He gave her unpredictability. You gave her love. He gave her nothing. And somehow, she gave him everything. This is the crisis modern men are facing. A reality so bitter that most don't talk about it publicly. But behind closed doors, every man knows. Every man has felt it. Because this isn't about logic. It's not about fairness. It's about raw, ancient biology colliding with modern delusion. We live in a world that tells men, be kind, be sensitive, communicate, be the bigger person. But what no one tells you is this: the more available you are, the less she values you. The more you give, the more she resents it. The more you try to be better, the more invisible you become. Because in her eyes, better doesn't mean anything if it doesn't shake her core. She doesn't feel you. She doesn't sense your edge. She doesn't respect the man who puts her on a pedestal. She respects the one who doesn't even look up. And that's the tragedy. You were raised to believe that being good would make you desirable. But goodness without strength is weakness. You were sold a fantasy, but she was built to respond to reality. And now you're waking up in the aftermath, questioning everything, thinking something's wrong with you. But what if the truth is far darker? What if she never wanted better in the first place? What if she chose him, not despite your value, but because you made your value too easy? You didn't lose her because you weren't enough. You lost her because she never had to earn you. And until you face that, you'll keep repeating the same heartbreak, over and over, expecting loyalty from someone who only respects power. Let's get something straight. Attraction is not fair. It's not based on merit, effort, kindness, or even logic. It's biological, primal, brutal. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep losing to men who do far less and get far more. The world tells you, just be yourself. Women like nice guys. If you treat her well, she'll stay. Lie, lie, lie. She doesn't choose the man who makes sense on paper. She chooses the one who makes her feel something she can't control. That's the game. You're playing chess. She's responding to chemistry. You think it's about being the better man, but she isn't measuring you the way you think. She's not comparing resumes. She's scanning for emotional voltage. Does he make her feel alive, uncertain, excited, a little on edge? If yes, he wins, no matter how toxic, emotionally unavailable, or unstable he is. Because in the absence of strong masculine energy, women chase emotional chaos. Your stability? It feels boring. Your availability? It feels smothering. Your predictability? It feels dead. But his indifference? It feels like a challenge. His silence? A puzzle to decode. His lack of effort? A test she has to pass. You thought being better meant being kinder, more open, more present. But to her subconscious, better means more dominant, more detached, more untouchable. This isn't about cruelty. It's about magnetism. Attraction doesn't bloom in comfort. It blooms in polarity. You gave her your heart in a velvet box. He didn't even look her way, and now she's obsessed with him. Why? Because he doesn't need her. And deep down, she wants to feel like she earned you, not like you were waiting with a bouquet. The truth? Women don't want to feel worshipped. They want to feel chosen by a man who didn't have to choose them. And when you make yourself too available, too eager, too obvious, she sees you as safe, and safe never wins her desire. Now you're starting to see the rules of this game. You were taught to trade goodness for love, but she's not wired to reward effort. She's wired to respond to presence, polarity, and power. Carl Jung warned us, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But instead of facing ourselves, we project. And when it comes to women, projection is fatal. You didn't just love her. You projected your ideals onto her. your hope, your fantasy, your salvation. She became everything you lacked within yourself. You didn't fall for her. You fell for who you became around her, and that's why you lost her, because no woman wants to carry the burden of being your dream. No woman wants to feel your need for meaning weighing on her presence. She wants to feel your gravity, not become your orbit. But when you project, you abandon yourself. You stop being a man who commands respect, and you become a man who seeks permission to exist. You smile more than you mean to. You agree when you don't believe it. You tolerate things that make your stomach turn because you're afraid to lose her. You become small, and she can feel it. Women are hypersensitive to male insecurity. They sense it before you speak, and when they do, something ancient activates in them: disdain. She may not know why she's pulling away, but she is. Because on a primal level, when a man worships, a woman withholds, and the more you idealize her, the more she starts to resent you. Not because you're bad, but because you've become invisible. You're no longer the mountain. You're the dust at its base. Jung called this the anime projection, the tendency of men to see in women the soul they have not yet integrated. Instead of becoming whole within ourselves, we seek completion through her. But here's the problem. She can never give you what you haven't earned through yourself. And the moment you expect her to be the source of your identity, she loses attraction, because the feminine wants to surrender to something stronger than her chaos. And that something must be you. But how can she surrender to a man who surrenders to her? This is the tragedy Jung tried to teach, that most men never love the woman in front of them. They love their imagined salvation wrapped in her skin, and she feels that pressure to be more than she is, to be your emotional home, your anchor, your goddess. But she never asked for that role. She wanted a man, not a follower. The man who gets chosen, he doesn't project. He reflects. He embodies his own soul so fully, so unapologetically, that she has no choice but to respect him. And when you stop needing her, you become the man she chases. You keep asking yourself the wrong question. Why did she choose him over me? Here's the answer, and you won't like it, because he didn't give a damn. He didn't chase. He didn't beg. He didn't adjust himself to make her feel more comfortable. He walked into her life like he could walk right out, and that made her feel something you never did: tension, while you were giving her constant comfort. He gave her psychological friction, and in that friction, she felt chemistry. The modern world wants to demonize this, calling it toxic, problematic, narcissistic. But evolution doesn't care about your feelings. The female psyche is ancient, and deep inside it lies a truth no one dares to speak aloud. She respects the man who doesn't need her. She craves the one who can walk away and mean it. And while you were waiting for her texts, double reading your messages, asking, "Are you okay?" when she pulled away, he was living. She wasn't the center of his world. She was a guest in it, and that's what made her want him. You, on the other hand, you were better, too available, too attentive, too afraid to lose her. You thought being more emotionally invested would win her loyalty. But here's the paradox. The more effort you showed, the more she tested you, not consciously, subconsciously. She wanted to feel your edge. She wanted to know there was a line she couldn't cross without consequence, but you kept forgiving everything. You stayed when she disrespected you. You stayed when she withheld intimacy. You stayed when she flirted with others in front of you. Why? Because you thought loyalty would earn love. It doesn't. She doesn't fall for the man who gives her the most. She falls for the man who gives himself the least, until she's earned it. And that's what he did. He never explained himself. He never sought validation. He never proved his worth. Because his indifference wasn't a tactic. It was a byproduct of self-respect. She chose him because he was rooted, not in her, but in himself. And whether she admitted it or not, it pulled her in like gravity. The same gravity you never allowed yourself to develop. because you were too focused on orbiting her. She didn't leave because you weren't good enough. She left because he didn't give her the power to define his worth, and in a world of weak men, that kind of strength is irresistible. If this story broke you, good, because it means you're finally awake. You've been lied to for years, by society, school, social media, movies, maybe even your parents. They told you to be soft, to be kind, to be emotionally open, to give and give and give, until someone finally sees you. But no one is coming to save you, especially not her. And that's the lesson. The pain you feel right now isn't weakness. It's a signal. It's your psyche breaking out of the lie. You thought love was a transaction. Be good, and I'll be loved. Be available, and I'll be chosen. Be better, and she'll never leave. But you weren't chosen, because you weren't standing. You were kneeling, begging in disguise. So what now? Now you rebuild. Not to get her back, but to become the man who never loses himself again. The man who walks into a room and doesn't care who notices because he's already complete. The man who doesn't flinch when a woman pulls away because his self-worth doesn't shake. The man who gives, not to impress, but from overflow. Because here's the truth, most men never grasp. You don't attract respect by asking for it. You attract respect by becoming someone who doesn't need it. Let her wonder where you went. Let her compare him to you in silence. Let her feel the absence of a man who once gave everything and now gives nothing to anyone who hasn't earned it. But this isn't about punishing her. It's about forgiving yourself for betraying your own standard just to feel loved. You knew. Deep down, you knew the signs. The disrespect, the shift in energy, the way she stopped looking at you like a man. But you stayed, and in doing so, you abandoned yourself. So now, you make a vow. From this day forward, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't explain, you do not tolerate disrespect from anyone. You build your life around purpose, not validation. You speak less, observe more. You walk away the moment your energy isn't reciprocated. And you never again let a woman become your identity, because the truth is, she didn't choose him. She chose the feeling he gave her. And you can become that man without becoming him. But it starts with one choice. You stop betraying yourself to be loved by someone else. You've lived your entire life under a lie that being better would guarantee you love, respect, and loyalty. That if you just tried harder, if you just gave more, if you just proved yourself enough, you would never face the gut-wrenching question, why did she choose him over you, even though you were better? Here's the final crushing truth. It was never about being better. It was about being uneasy. It was about being unavailable. It was about being unpredictable. It was about being unbothered. Because in the theater of attraction, your value isn't determined by your virtue. It's determined by your presence, the raw magnetic field of your own inner world. And that world has two modes. The world you gave her. Open arms, open heart, open vulnerability. The world you withdrew. Silent strength, internal gravity, untouchable calm. You spent most of your time in mode 1. She knew exactly where to find you. She knew how to unlock your praise, your attention, your validation. She gave you what you craved, and in return she lost respect. Then he arrived in mode 2. He didn't need her approval. He didn't seek her permission. He merely stood. And by standing, he towered. By withholding, he revealed his worth. By walking away, he sealed his value. Now imagine you're standing on a narrow bridge. On one side is the safety net of being better, of doing all the right things. On the other side is the chasm of being unbothered, of refusing to play her game. You leaned towards safety your whole life. But she fell for the man who stood at the edge, fearless. This is the moment you finally realize. Your goodness never sold her dream. Your absence did. Your need never ignited her desire. Your detachment did. Your explanation never captured her mind. Your silence did. It's like you brought a feast to the battlefield, but he brought a sword, and she heard the sword's promise first. Let that sink in. All your kindness was met with boredom. All your devotion was met with contempt. All your transparency was met with suspicion. Meanwhile, his reserve was met with fascination. His indifference was met with obsession. His calm was met with intrigue. You asked, "What more could I have done?" The truth is, nothing. You did too much. You revealed too much. You begged too much. You tried to be better. He tried to be himself, and that was enough. Now ask yourself, who are you when she's not watching? What do you stand for when you can't see a reaction? What power do you own when no one applauds? Because here's the ultimate realization that changes everything. Your value isn't defined by her choice, it's defined by your choice. Her attraction isn't earned by your actions, it's triggered by your essence. You can rewrite the final chapter of this story, but only if you stop chasing the one who left. Because every man who learns this secret stops caring about being better and starts caring about being real. Real doesn't mean perfect. Real means grounded, unshakable, an anchor in a sea of chaos, a man who doesn't collapse when someone he loves walks away. Here's how you transform this truth into your new reality. 1. Own your solitude. Practice being alone without feeling lonely. Build a life so rich that she sees you thriving without her. 2. Cultivate inner authority. Make decisions for yourself, not to please others. Speak less, do more. Let results, not explanations, define you. 3. Embody unavailability. Learn to say no, not arrogantly, but from clear self-priority. Withdraw attention when respect is breached. Give it when respect is earned. 4. Master your emotions. Feel deeply, but don't react impulsively. Use silence as your voice. 5. Live with purpose. Pursue goals unconnected to her. Let your ambition and values shine brighter than any relationship. This isn't manipulation. It's self-respect. It's boundary. It's integrity. It's the difference between a man who worships love and a man who embodies power. When you apply these principles, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing relationships and start attracting them. You stop begging for attention and start commanding it. You stop offering your heart as payment and start protecting your own. And when she sees this change, the way you no longer surrender your world for hers, she will feel that old tension again. She will sense your magnetic field. She will remember why she was drawn to you before you gave it all away, because power respected, never earned through kindness alone. Brother, stop being better. Start being unbothered. Stop begging for respect. Begin standing in it. This is your final reckoning, the moment you decide whether you remain the man who loses or become the man who never loses himself again. Choose wisely. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Wisdom. Consider supporting the channel, the link is in the description below. Your support helps spread timeless philosophy to those who need it most. Thanks for watching.